Episode 18, Speed Limits. Now we have speed limits everywhere. It's to make sure that people are being safe. Point of a speed limit. You're in a giant hunk of metal hurling down the highway, and you need to know how fast you're going down the highway in order to keep things under control, in order to make sure that you're not endangering other people. And it's sort of like an agreeable state of if we're all going to go this speed, we all kind of know how fast to go so we have time to make adjustments. I think that's the point of it. That's the true purpose of the speed limit. Give everyone sort of a consistent pace to make sure we can make adjustments and changes and we can all get to our destination safely. If you're going 15 miles an hour and someone else is going 45 and they got to change lanes and you got to change lanes, if the slow guy's in front, that creates a really scary situation because one guy is going real fast and he changes. And if he misses his blinker by a second, God forbid he uses a blinker, this creates all kinds of problems. And now he's slamming on the brakes, and then someone behind him is going 85, and he's unable to react in time. Takes them both out. It's like, you don't know what's going to happen. That's why we have a speed limit across the board. We have a nice generalized speed that we're all going to go. And it's like, this is the group's pace. Now, it's sort of a suggestive speed limit, right? It's an actual law, and you cannot go over the speed limit. That's why it's a limit. But everybody does. And if everybody breaks the law together, then it's okay, right? Laws are okay if everyone breaks them. How does that work? I mean, this is a genuine problem we're running into right now. All these speed limits on all these roads, they're set up to say, do not go over this. And everybody is in the back of their mind saying, 5 over is okay. It's not part of the sign. The sign is not a law saying, here's the speed, but 5 over is okay. It's not on there. Doesn't make any sense. So at some point, everybody was going about 5 over, and they said vehicles are able to handle better now and whatever. I don't even know who the they was. A committee of people somewhere met up and said, let's raise these limits 5 over. Let's make them all 5 over. I'll keep people in line. Then they'll know this is the actual speed we're all agreeing on. So it used to be 30, we're going to go to 35, and then we're going to keep it consistent so everyone's going 35. And enough people agreed on it that they changed it, and all the speed limits went up by 5. Lo and behold, society started saying, 5 over that one, and they just went another 5 over. And now we're at a point where we can't raise them anymore because we know what'll happen. We'll just go 5 over that one. We don't know where the 5 over came from. Nobody's enforcing it. So everyone's still going 5 over. What do we do with that? Makes no sense. It's like across the board, everyone has this understanding of you have to go over the speed limit. You have to break the law to drive a car. It's terrifying. For people learning to drive, they got to be like, why? Why do we have a speed limit? Then we all break the speed limit to go faster. And it's got to be a suggestive thing. People got to think, well, it's just an idea, just a guideline. No, it's the legal speed. Legally, how fast you can go. And if you go faster, you will be ticketed. But nobody's ticketed. Nobody's ticketed until it's like, I don't know, 2 in the morning. Then everybody's ticketed. Just weird. It's like, why do we have them? That doesn't make sense. Oh, and now they have apps so you can get on your phone that can track your driving. And then they offer like a cheaper rate if you drive well. I haven't seen those. I really have to wonder, do they allow 5 over? Because realistically, when you have an entire society driving 5 over, And then you want to get on the road and you want to go the actual speed limit. You want to be a law abiding citizen and follow the laws that have been laid out for you. You have to then go five under what traffic is going because everyone else is going five over. So they're all like swerving in front of you and cutting you off. And that person who's going the speed limit actually becomes a danger to society, which is even crazier because now it's like the laws are becoming dangerous. For you to follow the speed limit is a danger to other drivers. I mean, I guess being on the road is a danger to other drivers, right? Like anything you do is technically a danger. That's another one we should get into. If you look at like accident reports, there's a idea of fault, and they basically split it between people. So if there's two people, one is in a parked car, not doing anything, about to leave, and the other person just plows into them. They'll say, well, the guy who was parked, it was like 20% his fault for being there. Like, what? Shouldn't it be 100% the guy's fault who was driving the car? But they'll say, well, the other guy could have moved if he was paying attention. They'll try to fault him on that. This happens a lot. Someone's T-boned in an intersection and they'll be like, well, it's 35% fault. They waited a little bit too long. And they'll give them like these weird percentages to be like basically blaming both parties. So just by existing, it's your fault a little bit. Such a weird case. But yeah, I don't know. They use that for insurance reasons. I've seen some of the arguments and it's a little bit strange, but not as strange as the speed limits. Ones where you have to break them to be safe. And if you're following them, it becomes dangerous. Doesn't make sense to me. Oh, yeah. Speed limits. We got another one in there called speed traps. They have sections of road where the speed limit's like 50 and then it drops into a 30. And everybody just sort of knows it. And no matter where they post it, everybody just kind of slowly changes, which means they're going 50 and a 30. If you're going 50 and a 30, that's 20 over. It's wild. 20 over is dangerous. If it was a school zone, that's extremely dangerous. That's like you got to do something about that dangerous. That's make a phone call dangerous. But they just treat it like it's a normal thing. Not in a school zone, of course, but just changing from a 50 to a 30. I've seen that on roads. You're cruising along, you're hauling, and then you start slowing down because the speed limit is 30 and people are still going 50 and they're flying past you and you're like, dude, chill. There's a red light 30 feet up, It's like, sure enough, then they got to slam on the brakes for the red light. And it's like, what are you doing, dude? Calm down. But yeah, it's scary. It's scary having speed traps. It's a bad setup. I'm like, if you're gonna have a 30, you should have to put like a 40 before the 30, so people are at least getting the idea of slowing down. But they don't. They just let it be, and I think there's a concept I'm gonna have to bring up one of these videos called the catalyst. I spoke to a guy about why things are not done, and they basically said, we wait until enough people are injured from it, then we make the changes. Like, well, that's really bad. It doesn't sound preemptive at all. Sounds like you're just doing nothing. And that's it with the speed limits, too. Speed limits are sort of changed after there's a problem. Enough people crash into each other, then they say, okay, now let's make the change. And why don't they just look at it and say, this looks like a really bad system? Maybe we should encourage people to slow down better. Then they started putting in speed bumps in places. They said this is to make sure people will damage their car if they go too fast. I guess that's it. But then you get people with trucks and they don't have to worry about the speed bumps as much. And people with lower cars or bad suspension, they got to worry about the speed bumps more. Weird. Weird. The whole system is weird. Speed doesn't make a lot of sense for me. I don't get it. And highways, you get a speed limit like 70, and it's like almost this hidden thing where people are like, you can go 10 over on an interstate. Like, okay, so 10 over on the interstate magically? We just agree on that? Like, can I get someone to sign off on that? And if not, it's like, well, then can I see someone getting pulled over for going 10 over? What the heck? Pick one. Can't have both. You can't not enforce the law and then demand the law and be like, can't go more than 70. And everyone's going 80, and it's like, that's fine. They do what they do. Can't control them. Like, well, You could start enforcing. I don't know. I guess that's not an important law, though. That's probably what it comes down to is there's no importance to enforce speed limits because it's not really causing that much of a problem. It is more of an agreeable thing. What's more dangerous is people not paying attention when they're driving. I guess that's more of it. Or people being under influence. That's a big danger. That's probably the worst. And that one's been sort of shaping a bit of the laws and stuff out there. I thought about that too. Like, couldn't they make like a, if you've had even one beer, this is your new speed limit, or go half the speed limit? I don't know, something. Then you'd have the agreement where people would be like, well, I couldn't do the math because I had a beer. Suppose that would be a problem. Yeah, it's just weird, but it's a sloppy system. And all I'm saying is, if we're going to agree across the board that we're all going to shake hands and say, this is the limit for the speed, we're not going to go over this, why are we not enforcing that? Why are we just like, ah, it's whatever, just let people do whatever? It's like, that's not how it works. I don't think there's any other place where people can disregard laws directly. It's just okay. I'm trying to think of other examples. Like, you couldn't go in a bank and be like, just give me more money than I need. Don't take it out of my account. Just give it to me, and we'll just all shake our hands and say whatever. Couldn't do that. Can't be like, oh well, I'm gonna go to the grocery store and pay 70% of the bill. Yeah, it's a rough estimate. No, can't do that. With speed limits, it's just sort of like, eh, we tried. We tried. It's so varying, you know. The road was kind of, it was going downhill maybe. Or if it was an uphill, you say, oh, well, I was speeding up for the hill. And it's like so weird, so ambiguous. Mystical thing, speed limits. The thing that we all agree is going to help save lives and we're going to follow to our best ability. And then none of us follow. And then if you do follow, you're a danger. It's like, what is this here for? What's the point of all this? Anyways, I think speed limits are really dumb. Not that speed limits in themselves are dumb, but society's use of speed limits is probably one of the dumbest things. We don't enforce it so much to where it becomes normalized to break it. And then we have to raise it to meet the standard that we broke. And then we don't enforce it again. So it becomes the same thing. It's just a cycle. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing out there, guys? All right. Got a bunch of episodes to get through. I might even make these a little bit shorter. Until next time.